What is shoe? It an outer covering for your foot that usually has a stiff bottom part, called a sole, with the thicker part called a heel, attached to it, and an upper part that covers part or all of the top of your foot. Hence, whenever we talk about shoe, we remember the leg often, the feet of animals, especially that of the humans. A shoe stitching machine was invented by the American Lyman Blake in 1856 and perfected by 1864. Entering into partnership with Mackay, his device became known as the Mackay stitching machine and was quickly adopted by manufacturers throughout New England. We have numerous kinds and types of shoe, ranging from flat shoes, high-heel shoes to high-heel shoe for the ladies, while others could be in the category of sandals, buckled or non-buckled shoes and boots. Closed footwear, such as boots, trainers, and most men's shoes, will have a more complex upper. This part is often decorated or is made in a certain style to look attractive. The upper is connected to the sole by a strip of leather, rubber, or plastic that is stitched between it and the sole, known as a welt. Its function is to support the heel of the foot. Up until 1850, shoes were made straight, meaning that there was no differentiation from left and right shoes. Shoes had, in the past, were handmade by shoemakers, but new technologies brought about standardized sizes and widths. As the 20th century approached, shoemakers improved comfort by making foot-specific shoes. In the 20th century, the face of footwear changed drastically from decade to decade. Some facts about shoes. These will burst your minds. Shoes indicate your class in society. In ancient Egypt, slaves had no shoes or wore sandals made of palm leaves. The commoner wore sandals made from papyrus. Those in higher status were allowed to wear pointed sandals. The colors red and yellow were reserved for the highest society only. Shoe once have same shape. Before the year 1818, both left and right foot were of same. It wasn't until 1818 that the right shoe was invented. Until that time, there was no distinction between shoes made for left or right feet. Some shoes are and must be wooden. The wooden shoe that is often referred to as clogs were called klompens by the Dutch. Due to the fact that Holland is mostly below sea level, there are many marshy areas. The Dutch found that leather shoes would get wet and ruin easily, which is why they designed the wooden clog. Today it is still a popular tradition to wear these shoes. For now, only one shoe museum exists. The only shoe museum in North America is located in Toronto, Ontario. This museum showcases shoes spanning over 4,500 years. It is called the Bata Shoe Museum. Some shoes are just dangerous to wear. During the 16th century, aristocratic women began to wear shoes that were extremely high-heeled. The heels on some of these shoes were so high that the women needed servants to help them walk. After this, stilt-like shoes were invented and became the rave in Venice. Shoes once had laws on them. Monarchs typically dictated the types of fashionable shoes that would and would not be worn. There are of course usually reasons behind their madness. In England, Henry VIII made wide-tied shoes popular. He made a law that shoes were to be 6 inches wide. The reason supposedly was to cover his gout-stricken feet. Louis XIV, also known as the Sun's King, was only 5 foot 5 inches tall. Due to his short stature, he made high-heeled shoes popular and mandatory for all men. Shoes have some old wedding significance. Some odd traditions surrounding weddings and shoes include: in Hungary, the groom drinks a toast to the bride out of her wedding shoe. In China, one of the bride's shoes is tossed from the roof. The shoe must be red, and this gives the couple good luck in the marriage. In the Middle Ages, the father and the groom-to-be would have a shoe ceremony. The father would then give the man authority over his daughter. At the wedding, the bride would put the shoe on to show she was now the groom's possession. The most expensive shoes ever. Some people will pay a lot of money to have a pair of shoes that they want. The most expensive pair of shoes were sold for $660,000. They were the ruby slippers, worn by Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz. The ruby slippers were sold at an auction on June 2, 2000. Names of some shoes has Pardon Right. Henry Nelson McKinney, an advertising agent for NWR & Son, was the man who came up with the term sneaker. This was a brilliant marketing idea for the newly invented rubber-soled shoes. He said that the rubber soles made the shoes stealth-like, so he termed them sneakers. Unusual uses of shoe. 1. As a bottle opener. Men had this first in the form of a sandal that had the bottle opener on the sole, but this stiletto heel is not only good but also much more hygienic, don't you think? 2. As S-flask. Reef Stram sandals have an encapsulated canteen with a screw cap in the heel that can hold up to 3 ounces of liquid. These are best for beach parties but the worst for airports. 3. As drinking glass. Watch Rihanna demonstrate how to drink out of a red-bottom stiletto pump. 4. As a secret compartment. Say bye-bye to clutches. Double agent shoes by Bologna Fashions make use of all that space inside wedge heels by turning it into a secret compartment where you can stash your cash, cards, keys, or a small bottle of alcohol. 5. As a tip jar. Taylor Momsen first introduced us to these stripper heels with built-in tip slots here. Taylor Momsen performing with her band, Pretty Reckless, in pleaser tip jar heels. It did cost between $26,000 to $62,000. 6. As a candy holder. You can put the candy inside the shoes, but why do that when you can stick them on the outsides of your shoes for easier access? 7. As a flower pot. 8. As a map. Never ruin your shoes and never get lost. These waterproof shoe covers that protect shoes from getting scuffed, dirted, and damaged by the rain also have a map of New York, Paris, or Tokyo engraved on the soles. Cool idea, but imagine the awkward position you have to twist your body into just to look at the bottom of your shoes for directions. 9. As a broom and dustpan. These broom and dustpan slippers are one of those weird Japanese inventions that may not be so weird if you think about the minimal effort you have to put into using them to sweep your floors. 10. As an abacus. Take a calculated fashion risk with these abacus heels. 11. As an iPhone holder. Okay, so these shoes are just iPhone holders, but they did come out of a 3D printer, which makes them a lot cooler in our book. 12. As a flippers. As if walking on the beach in flippers wasn't hard enough, these ones come with high heels that are sure to sink in the sand. 13. As an emergency food supply. Short of making you a sandwich, these shoes made out of bread double as a quick meal, a tasty snack, or an on-the-go soup bowl. Made by a Lithuanian design firm, Aroni Praspaliauskas, these food footwear come in different styles, including baguette brogues, cob clogs, and bloomer boots. 14. As a flashlight or light bulb. Pack these flashlight or light bulb heels along with the bread shoes in your emergency kit, and you're ready for the apocalypse. 15. As a pants substitute. Shoes can now double as pants, if you ask Willow Smith and Tamara Mellon. 16. As a weapon. Chanel's gun heels and the news that a professor was stabbed to death with a stiletto heel give a whole new meaning to the term killer heels. Ana Lilia Trujillo, a Houston woman, has been convicted of stabbing her friend to death, with a 5.5-inch stiletto heel to his head and face. Prosecutors said Ana Trujillo slashed 59-year-old Alf Stefan Anderson with the sharp heel at least 25 times, until he bled to death on his Houston condo's floor in June 2014. Don't be carried away by their elegant legs and moves. Next time you see a woman moving towards you on a high or low heel, just be very careful, you may be her next victim. What do you want us to excavate for you? Just suggest it. Yes, go ahead. But before that, make sure you subscribe, comment, and share on this YouTube channel for frequent videos on our findings. When we get your mind bursted, or do you want to sponsor this research? Go ahead and email us on the email link below.